The sky above Seoul turned dark at exactly noon. It was not clouds. It was not an eclipse. It was something much bigger than anything humans had ever seen before. Admiral Yuna stood on the observation deck of Earth's Central Command. She was 63 years old. Her hair was gray and cut short. Her eyes had seen many battles, and her hands had given many orders. But she had never seen anything like this. The alien ship was the size of a small city. It blocked the sun completely. Its surface was smooth and black, like polished stone. No windows. No visible engines. Just a massive shape hanging in the sky, as if gravity meant nothing to it. "All global frequencies are being jammed," said Fleet Commander Taeyong. He stood beside her, his tablet showing nothing but static. "They control everything now. Radio, television, internet, all of it." Yuna nodded slowly. She had expected this. For 300 years, humanity had wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they had their answer. And the answer was terrifying. "What do they want?" she asked. "They want to talk," Taeyong replied. "They are requesting a meeting. Just one representative from Earth. They say they come with a message." Yuna looked at the massive ship again. In her long military career, she had learned one important truth. When someone with a bigger gun comes to talk, they are not really asking. They are telling. "I will go," she said. The shuttle that took Yuna to the alien vessel was small and slow. As it rose through the atmosphere, she could see the ship more clearly. Up close, it was even more impressive. The surface had patterns on it, like writing in a language no human could read. Ancient, powerful. This was not just a ship. This was a statement that the shuttle landed in a hangar that could have held 100 human vessels. Yuna stepped out alone. She wore her dress uniform with all her medals. If this was going to be humanity's first official contact with alien life, she would represent her species with dignity. The alien that waited for her was tall. Very tall, almost 3 meters. It had 4 arms and 4 eyes. Its skin was pale blue, and it wore robes of deep purple. When it spoke, its voice was deep and smooth, like stones rolling in a river. "I am Ambassador Tovan of the Kalari Dominion," the alien said. "I speak for the Galactic Conclave. You are Admiral Yuna of the human military forces. We have watched your species for 300 of your years. We know much about you." Yuna kept her face calm. Inside, her heart was beating fast. 300 years. They had been watching for 300 years. Every war, every discovery, every mistake. "Why have you come?" she asked. Tovan's 4 eyes blinked one after another, like a wave. "We come to offer you a mercy, a gift that we have given to very few species before." "And what gift is that?" "A warning." Tovan moved closer. Despite his size, he moved very smoothly, like water flowing. "The Galactic Conclave has decided that humanity must surrender its colony worlds. Your settlements on Mars, on the moons of Jupiter, on the stations beyond your system. All of it. You will return to Earth and remain there, forever." Yuna felt cold anger rise in her chest, but she kept her voice steady. "And if we refuse, then you will be removed." Tovan said this as simply as someone might say the sun will rise tomorrow. "The Kalari Dominion has cleansed 12 species from existence. Species older than yours. Species more advanced than yours. Species that tried to resist." He paused. None of them succeeded. Yuna was quiet for a long moment. She thought about Earth. She thought about the millions of humans living on Mars, on Europa, on Titan. She thought about the children who had been born in space, who had never known Earth's blue sky. "How long do we have?" she asked. 60 of your solar cycles. 60 days, as you measure time. This is generous. Most species receive no warning at all. We simply arrive and begin the cleansing. But we have seen something interesting in your species. A spark. We wish to give you time to accept your situation peacefully. You think we will just give up? Tovin made a sound that might have been laughter. All species believe they are special, Admiral. All species believe they will be different. They are always wrong. You are young. You are small. You have only just left your birth world. Against the Kalari, you are like insects against a storm. He reached into his robe and pulled out a small crystal. It glowed with soft blue light. This contains information about our military strength, our ships, our weapons, our history of conquest. We give this to you so that your leaders may understand what they face. Perhaps when they see the truth, they will choose wisdom over pride. Yuna took the crystal. It was warm in her hand. We will review your information. Do more than review it, Admiral. Accept it. In 60 days, we will return. If humanity has not surrendered its colonies, we will begin systematic elimination. Your species will join the others in history. A footnote. A lesson for future civilizations about the price of defiance. Tovin turned and walked back into the shadows of the hangar. We truly hope you choose peace. Extinction is such a waste. The shuttle ride back to Earth was silent. Yuna sat alone, holding the crystal, thinking. When she landed, Taeyang was waiting for her. His face was pale. What did they say? Yuna told him everything. The 60 days. The surrender demand. The 12 species that had been destroyed before them. When she finished, Taeyang looked like he might be sick. What do we do? He asked. Yuna walked to the window. The alien ship was still there, blocking the sun. But as she watched, it began to move. Slowly at first, then faster. Within minutes, it was gone, leaving only blue sky behind. We fight, she said. But Admiral, you heard what they said. 12 species. All destroyed. They have ships the size of cities. Weapons we cannot imagine. How can we possibly fight against that? Yuna turned to face him. There was something in her eyes now. Something hard and bright. Something that had been sleeping for a very long time. They made a mistake, Taeyang. A very big mistake. What mistake? They warned us. Yuna walked toward the door. They gave us 60 days and told us exactly what they plan to do. They think this will make us surrender. They think we will see their strength and fall on our knees. But they do not understand humans. They have never fought anything like us. She stopped at the door and looked back. Call every fleet commander, every general, every scientist who has ever worked on weapons. Call them all. We have 60 days to prepare. Prepare for what? Yuna smiled. It was a small smile, a dangerous smile. The smile of a predator who has just spotted its prey, to show them that we were never the prey. We are the hunters. We have always been the hunters. And now we will hunt. Within 1 hour, messages were sent to every corner of human civilization. Within 2 hours, the leaders of Earth gathered in emergency session. Within 3 hours, the military command was on full alert. The countdown had begun. 60 days until the Kalari returned. 60 days until extinction or survival. 60 days for humanity to prove that the galaxy had made a terrible mistake in thinking them weak. Admiral, Yuna stood at the window of Command Central, watching the sun set over Seoul, somewhere out there. In the darkness between stars, the Kalari were waiting. They were confident. They were patient. They had done this 12 times before, but they had never done it to humans. And that would make all the difference. Deep beneath the city of Bizan, there was a laboratory that did not officially exist. It was carved into solid rock, 100 meters below the surface. No windows. No signs. Just endless corridors of white walls and bright lights, filled with the hum of machines and the quiet footsteps of scientists. Dr. Minji had not slept in 3 days. Her eyes were red. Her coffee had gone cold hours ago. But she could not stop working. Not now. Not with the clock counting down. On the table in front of her was a piece of alien technology. It was small, about the size of her hand, but it contained secrets that could change everything. 20 years ago, a Kalari scout ship had crashed in the Pacific Ocean. The ship was destroyed, but some pieces survived. This piece was part of their shield generator. For 20 years, scientists had studied it. They had learned how it worked. They had learned that it created a barrier of energy that could stop almost any weapon. But they had never been able to copy it. The technology was too advanced, too alien. Now they had 60 days to not just copy it, but to find a way to break it. "The frequency harmonics are wrong," said Dowan, her assistant. He was young, only 25, but brilliant. He had been running calculations for hours, trying to find the weakness in the Kalari shields. "Every time I think I have it, the numbers fall apart." Minji leaned over his shoulder, looking at his screen. Numbers and graphs filled every space. She could see what he was trying to do. He was approaching the problem like an engineer, trying to find the exact frequency that would cancel out the shield. "You are thinking too small," she said. "What do you mean?" "You are trying to find one frequency, one perfect number that will break their shields. But that is not how it works." She grabbed the marker and drew on the whiteboard behind them. "Their shields adapt. They change frequency constantly, thousands of times per second. You cannot hit a moving target with a single shot." Dowan frowned. "Then how do we break them?" "We do not try to hit one frequency. We hit all of them." "We hit all of them." Minji drew a wave pattern on the board. Then another. Then another. Soon the board was covered with overlapping waves. "We create a weapon that cycles through every possible frequency at the same speed their shields change. Somewhere in that cycle, for just a fraction of a second, we will match their frequency. And in that fraction of a second, our weapons will get through." Dohan stared at the board. His tired eyes slowly grew wide. "That would require processing power we do not have. Then we build it." Minji turned to face her full team. There were 50 scientists in the lab, all of them the best in their fields. All of them exhausted. All of them afraid. "Listen to me. They think we are prey because we are young, because we have not spread across 1,000 worlds like they have. They forget something very important about humans." "What is that?" asked one of the scientists. "We have been killing things bigger than us since we learned to sharpen rocks. We hunted mammoths with wooden spears. We tamed fire. We split the atom. We are not prey. We are the most dangerous predators our planet ever produced." She pointed at the alien technology on the table. "They made these shields to stop civilized species. Peaceful species. Species that follow rules. They did not make them to stop us." The room was silent. Then, slowly, Dowan smiled. "I will start working on the processor design." "Good. We have 58 days. Make every hour count. Far above the Earth, in the orbital shipyards above the moon." A different kind of preparation was happening. Fleet engineer Sora stood on the observation platform, watching a ship take shape. It was not a beautiful ship. It was not elegant or graceful. It was angular and brutal, covered with weapons. It looked like something built for one purpose only: destruction. "The workers are asking questions," said her second-in-command. "They want to know why we are building so many attack vessels. They want to know about the alien ship that came." "Tell them the truth," Sora said. "Tell them everything. Are you sure that is wise?" "It might cause panic." Sora laughed, but there was no humor in it. Panic? Look around you. Look at these people. They have been working double shifts for 3 days. They are tired. They are scared. But they are still here, still building. Do you know why? No, because humans do not run from danger. We run toward it. We see a challenge and we want to beat it. We see a mountain and we want to climb it. We see an enemy and we want to destroy it. She watched a team of workers attach a massive gun to the ship's hull. Tell them about the Kalari. Tell them about the 60 days. Tell them that if we fail, everything we love will be destroyed. Then watch them work even harder. She was right. When the workers learned the truth, there was fear. There was anger. But there was also something else. A fire, a determination. The shipyards that had been working at double capacity started working at triple capacity. Volunteers came from Earth, from Mars, from every colony. People who had never built anything in their lives learned to weld metal and program computers in 1 month. They built more ships than they had built in the previous 10 years. On the destroyer Baekdu, Captain Ji-won watched the construction from her bridge. Her ship was small compared to the new vessels being built. Only 200 meters long. Only a crew of 200. But it was fast and it was deadly. The new ships are impressive, said her tactical officer, Hyun-woo. He was standing beside her, his arms crossed, studying the shipyard with worried eyes. But will it be enough? The Kalari have been conquering species for thousands of years. They have ships the size of moons. Size is not everything, Ji-won said. Easy to say when you are not the one who has to fight them. Ji-won turned to face him. She was 34 years old, the youngest captain in the fleet. She had earned her rank not through years of service, but through skill and courage. She had volunteered the Baekdu for the front lines of whatever battle was coming. Let me tell you a story, she said. Thousands of years ago on Earth, there were wolves. Small animals, not much bigger than dogs. And there were mammoths. Giant creatures 10 times the size of wolves, with tusks that could kill with 1 strike. Hyun-woo nodded. I know this story. The wolves hunted the mammoths. Yes, but how? How did small wolves kill giant mammoths? Ji-won walked to the window, looking out at the stars. They did not attack head-on. They did not try to match the mammoth's strength. Instead, they worked together. They were patient. They attacked and retreated, for hours. For days, they wore the mammoth down until it was too tired to fight. Then they struck. You think we can do the same to the Kalari? I think the Kalari have never fought wolves before. They have conquered 12 species. 12 species that thought like prey. 12 species that tried to defend themselves, tried to survive, tried to hide. She turned back to Hyun-woo. We will not defend. We will not survive. We will not hide. We will attack, and if we lose, then we lose. But we will make them bleed first. We will make them remember us. 1,000 years from now, when other species hear the name human, they will know that we did not go quietly. We did not bow. We did not beg. Her voice grew hard. We fought, and we made the Kalari pay for every life they took. Hyun-woo was quiet for a long moment. Then, slowly, he nodded. What do you need from me, Captain? I need you to think like a predator. I need you to forget everything you learned about honorable combat and defensive tactics. I need you to become a wolf. For the first time since the alien ship appeared, Hyun-woo smiled. I can do that. All across human space, the same transformation was happening. Soldiers trained for battles they had never imagined. Scientists worked on weapons that should have taken decades to develop. Ordinary people did extraordinary things because they knew the alternative was death. The Kalari had given them 60 days. They would use every second. On day 30, Admiral Yuna received a report from Dr. Minji. The frequency cycling weapons were ready for testing. On day 35, Captain Jiwon completed the first training exercises for her new attack patterns. On day 40, the shipyards launched their 50th new warship. The galaxy thought humanity was preparing to die. They were wrong. Humanity was preparing to hunt. The Kalari Armada arrived 2 days early. Admiral Yuna was in the command center on Mars when the alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed across every screen. Officers shouted reports to each other. The room became chaos in seconds. How many ships? Yuna demanded. Taeyang's face was pale as he read the scanner data. Over 3,000. Battleships, carriers, destroyers. They brought everything. 3,000 ships. Yuna felt the weight of that number pressed down on her chest. Humanity had built just over 400 warships in the past 2 months. They were outnumbered almost 10 to 1. They came early, Taeyang said. They did not give us the full 60 days. Of course they did not. Yuna's voice was calm, even though her heart was racing. They wanted to catch us unprepared. They expected to find us still building, still planning, still hoping for more time. She allowed herself a small smile. They will be disappointed. The Kalari fleet entered the solar system like a dark wave. Their ships were massive, some of them kilometers long. They moved in perfect formation, each vessel knowing exactly where it should be. They had done this many times before. They were very good at it. Supreme Admiral Verith stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Conqueror. He was old for a Kalari, over 1,000 years. He had personally overseen the destruction of 3 species. This would be his 4th. Scan the human defenses, he ordered. His officers worked quickly. Information flowed across their screens. Numbers and data and tactical analysis. They have approximately 400 warships, one officer reported. Small vessels mostly. Their largest ship is only 2 kilometers long. Their weapons appear to be primitive projectile and energy-based systems. Vareth made the Kalari sound of contempt. As expected. Begin standard conquest pattern. Send the forward scouts to clear any orbital debris. 20 Kalari destroyers broke formation and accelerated toward the inner solar system. They were the fastest ships in the fleet, designed for scouting and light combat. Against human vessels, they would be unstoppable. They reached the orbit of Neptune in 3 hours. That was where they found the first surprise. Space around Neptune was filled with debris. Asteroids, satellite pieces, old ship hulls. The scouts ignored it at first. Debris was common in any solar system. Their shields could handle anything that might hit them. Then the debris exploded. The first scout ship lost its shields in a cascade of blue fire. The explosions came from everywhere at once. Hundreds of small bombs hidden inside what looked like worthless rocks. Before the scout could raise new shields, a railgun round the size of a car punched through its hull. What is happening? Vareth demanded. The reports coming from the scouts were confused and panicked. Mines, his tactical officer said. The humans have filled the outer system with mines. And there are weapons platforms hidden in the asteroids. Railguns, missile batteries. They have turned this entire region into a kill zone. Vareth watched as 3 more of his scouts burned. The remaining ships were retreating, their shields flickering under constant attack. 14 scouts destroyed in less than 10 minutes. For the first time in many centuries, Vareth felt something strange. It took him a moment to recognize it. It was surprise. On Mars, Admiral Yuna watched the same battle through her tactical display. The scouts were dying exactly as planned. But she knew this was just the beginning. They will adapt, she said. They will send larger ships with stronger shields. The mines will not stop them. Then what was the point? Taeyang asked. The point was to draw first blood. Una turned to face her officers. Every species they have conquered died defending. They hid behind walls and waited for the enemy to come. The Kalari expected the same from us. They expected to arrive and slowly crush our defenses, one by one, like they always do. She gestured at the tactical display, where the burning scouts were still visible. Now they know we are different. Now they know we are willing to attack. Now they will be afraid. Will they? They still outnumber us. Yes, but fear is not about numbers. Fear is about uncertainty. Right now, Vareth is wondering what else we have hidden. He's wondering if we have more mines, more traps, more surprises. He will move slower. He will be more careful. And every hour he wastes is an hour we can use. Commander Yunji sent her report from her hidden station on Ceres, the largest object in the asteroid belt. Her grandmother had been a farmer. Her mother had been a soldier. Yunji had become something new. She was humanity's first void warfare specialist, trained to fight in the emptiness between planets. Phase 1 complete, she said into her communicator. 14 enemy scouts destroyed. No human casualties. The asteroid guns are still hidden and operational. Good work, Commander, Una replied. Prepare for Phase 2. They will come with heavier ships next time. We will be ready. The Kalari fleet spent 6 hours regrouping. Vareth sent drones to scan the minefields. He mapped the human weapons platforms. He calculated the safest path through the outer system. Then he sent his battleships. 40 massive vessels moved forward, each one protected by shields that could withstand nuclear weapons. They swept through the minefields, detonating thousands of bombs against their barriers. The explosions lit up space like fireworks, but the shields held. The hidden railguns fired, and the battleships fired back. Within minutes, every human weapons platform in the outer system was destroyed. Vareth smiled. This was more like it. A brief resistance, then destruction. Just like the other species. Continue forward, he ordered. Full fleet advance. The Armada moved again, 3,000 ships sailing toward the inner solar system. They passed Neptune. They passed Uranus. They approached the asteroid belt dot, and the asteroid belt opened fire. Umji had spent 2 months turning Ceres into a fortress. She had drilled tunnels into 100 other asteroids and hidden railguns inside them. She had programmed the weapons to wait, to stay silent, to pretend to be dead rocks floating in space. Now those weapons woke up. The Kalari fleet was enormous, but it was also packed tightly together for maximum defensive coverage. That made it a perfect target. Railgun rounds traveling at a fraction of light speed slammed into the formation from every direction. Target their carriers, Yunji ordered. Concentrate fire. The asteroid guns fired again and again, thousands of rounds per minute. The Kalari shields held, but they were weakening. Vareth ordered his ships to spread out, to make themselves harder targets. But spreading out meant weaker defenses. Dr. Minji's frequency cycling weapons activated for the first time. On one of the hidden asteroids, a new kind of gun powered up. It did not fire projectiles. Instead, it fired a beam of energy that shifted through thousands of frequencies every second. The beam hit a Kalari carrier's shield. For one brief moment, the beam and the shield matched frequencies. For one brief moment, there was a gap. The beam cut through. The Kalari carrier, a vessel 3 kilometers long that had survived 100 battles, split apart in silence. No explosion. No fire. Just metal tearing like paper, spilling debris and bodies into the void. Vareth watched the carrier die. His 4 eyes blinked rapidly, trying to process what he was seeing. That carrier had served the Dominion for 800 years. Its shields had never been breached. How? He whispered. How did they do that? His tactical officer had no answer. On Mars, Una allowed herself a small celebration. One carrier destroyed. 2,999 ships remaining. The numbers were still against them. But the Kalari were learning an important lesson. Humans did not fight fair. The battle in the asteroid belt lasted for hours. The human weapons platforms were destroyed one by one, but each one took Kalari ships with it. By the time Varath's fleet cleared the belt, he had lost 47 vessels. It was a small number compared to his total fleet. But Varath had never lost 47 ships in a single engagement before. He had never lost any ships before. He sent a message to Admiral Una. You fight well for a doomed species, but you cannot win. Surrender now, and I will be merciful. Surrender now, and I will be merciful. Una's reply was 3 words. Come and see. Varath ordered the full advance. The Kalari fleet moved toward the inner planets, toward Mars, toward Earth, but they moved slower than before. They moved more carefully. They watched the darkness around them with new eyes, wondering what other surprises might be waiting. The prey had drawn blood, and the hunters were starting to wonder if perhaps they had made a mistake. The battle had been raging for 11 days. 11 days of fire and death. 11 days of small victories and terrible losses. 11 days that changed everything the Kalari thought they knew about war. Captain Jiwan stood on the bridge of the Baekdu, watching her crew work. They were exhausted. Some of them had not slept in 40 hours. Their uniforms were stained with sweat and, in some cases, blood. But they were still fighting. They would always keep fighting. Enemy supply convoy detected, Hyunwoo reported. His voice was rough from giving orders for days without rest. 12 transport ships, guarded by 8 destroyers. They are heading for the main fleet. Jiwan studied the tactical display. The convoy was far from the main battle, moving through what the Kalari thought was safe space. They were wrong. Signal the pack, she said. Pattern Wolf 7. The Baekdu was not alone. Over the past 2 months, 20 other small destroyers had trained with Jiwan. They had learned to fight like her, to think like her, to hunt like her. They called themselves the Wolf Pack, and they had become the Kalari's worst nightmare. The 21 ships moved through the darkness, using asteroids and debris for cover. They did not fly in formation. Each captain knew where to be and when to be there. They had practiced this hunt 100 times. The Kalari convoy continued on its path. Unaware of the predators closing in around them, Jiwan waited. Patience was the hardest part of being a wolf. The instinct was to attack immediately, to strike while the enemy was weak. But wolves did not fight that way. Wolves waited for the perfect moment. The convoy passed an asteroid field. The destroyers spread out slightly to avoid the rocks. Their formation loosened. Now, Jiwan said 21 ships attacked from 21 different directions. The Kalari destroyers tried to respond, but they were caught off guard. Their shields activated too slowly. Their weapons targeted the wrong enemies. The Baekdu fired first at the lead destroyer's engines. The frequency cycling beam cut through the shields and tore the engines apart. The destroyer began to drift, helpless. Second target, Jiwan ordered. Do not stop moving. This was the key to their success. They never stopped. They never stayed in one place long enough for the Kalari to lock on. They attacked and moved, just like wolves wearing down a mammoth dot. Within 10 minutes, all 8 destroyers were dead or dying. The transport ships tried to escape, but they were too slow. The Wolf Pack surrounded them and tore them apart. 12 supply ships destroyed. 8 destroyers eliminated. 0 losses for the humans. Report to Admiral Una, Jiwan said. Enemy supply line disrupted. Moving to next target. On the main battlefront, the war was not going as smoothly. Admiral Yuna watched from her command center as another human cruiser broke apart under Kalari fire. That was the 63rd ship they had lost. They could not afford many more, but the Kalari were suffering too. Over 200 of their vessels had been destroyed or damaged. For a fleet that had never lost a single ship before Earth, this was a disaster. Supreme Admiral Varath is requesting communication, Taeyang said. Yuna nodded. Put him through. Varath's face appeared on the main screen. He looked different than he had 11 days ago. Older somehow. Tired. You have fought well, Admiral Yuna, he said. I did not believe it was possible for your species to cause us such harm. I underestimated you. Yes, you did. But this cannot continue. You have lost half your fleet. Your resources are running out. Your people are dying. Varath leaned forward. I offer you a final chance. Surrender now, and I will spare Earth. Your colony worlds will be taken, but your home planet will remain. Your species will survive. Yuna was silent for a long moment. She thought about all the people who had died in the past 11 days. Soldiers and pilots and engineers. Brave men and women who had given everything to protect their home. No, she said. Varath's four eyes widened. You would choose extinction over survival? You still do not understand us. Yuna stood up from her chair. We are not fighting to survive. We are fighting to win. And we have not shown you everything yet. She cut the communication. On the surface of Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, a different kind of battle was being fought. Colonel Dalwook had been a soldier for 30 years. He had fought in wars on Earth, on Mars, on the asteroid colonies. But he had never fought anything like the Kalari ground forces. They were tall and strong, with forearms that could each hold a weapon. Their armor was almost impossible to penetrate with standard guns. When they walked, the ground shook and they were everywhere. The Kalari had landed troops on Europa 2 days ago. They wanted to capture the moon's water processing facilities, which supplied drinking water to the inner planets. If they controlled the water, they could starve humanity into submission. Dalwook had 2,000 soldiers to defend against 10,000 Kalari warriors. By any normal calculation, they should have been destroyed in the first hour. But Dalwook did not fight by normal calculations. Fall back to Tunnel 7, he ordered through his radio. Let them take the processing center. His lieutenant, a young woman named Sujin, looked shocked. Sir, if we lose the processing center, we will take it back. But first, we need them inside. The human soldiers retreated through the underground tunnels that connected Europa's facilities. The Kalari followed, confident in their victory. Their massive bodies barely fit through the tunnels. They had to move slowly, single file in some places. That was exactly what Dalwook wanted. When the main Kalari force was inside the processing center, Dalwook gave the order. His engineers detonated the charges they had placed throughout the facility. The explosions did not kill the Kalari. Their armor was too strong. But the explosions brought down the ceiling. Thousands of tons of ice and rock crashed down on the alien warriors. Their armor could stop bullets, but it could not stop being buried alive. The processing center became a tomb. Now we dig them out, Dalwook said. One at a time. It took 3 days to clear the processing center. Every Kalari warrior that crawled from the rubble was met by human soldiers with frequency cycling weapons. The aliens fought hard, but they were injured and disoriented. They died one by one until none were left. 10,000 Kalari warriors, defeated by 2,000 humans and a lot of falling rocks. Dong Wook sent his report to Admiral Yuna. Europa secure. Enemy ground forces eliminated. We will burn everything we have built if it means taking them with us. Yuna read the report and felt something she had not felt in 11 days. Hope. The Kalari were learning that humans did not think like other species. Other species protected their resources. Humans would destroy their own cities, collapse their own buildings, sacrifice their own lives, if it meant hurting the enemy. Vareth was learning this lesson too. Every time he thought he had the humans trapped, they did something unexpected. They attacked when they should have defended. They retreated when they should have stood. They sacrificed ships and stations and lives in ways that made no tactical sense. Until you realized the truth, humans were not trying to survive the battle. They were trying to win the war. On day 11, Vareth received a report that changed everything. 3 of his supply convoys had been destroyed. 2 of his repair stations had been attacked. His fleet was running low on ammunition and fuel. How is this possible? He demanded. Our supply lines are far from the battle. The humans do not have enough ships to attack them. His tactical officer showed him the data. 21 small destroyers, moving through the darkness like ghosts. They appeared without warning, destroyed their targets, and vanished before reinforcements could arrive. They are hunting us, the officer said. Like predators hunting prey. Vareth stared at the data for a long time. In all his centuries of war, he had never been the prey. He had never known what it felt like to be hunted. Now he knew, and he was afraid. On the bridge of the Baekdu, Captain Ji-won allowed her crew a brief rest. They had destroyed their 5th convoy today. The Wolf Pack had lost 3 ships over the 11 days, but they had taken over 100 Kalari vessels with them. They are scared of us now, Hyunwoo said. He was smiling, something he had not done since the war began. I can see it in how they move. They jump at shadows. They send escorts with every ship. Good, Ji-won said. Scared enemies make mistakes. And mistakes are what we need. She looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, Admiral Yuna was planning the final phase of the war. Somewhere out there, the weapon that would decide everything was waiting. The wolves had done their job. They had weakened the prey, worn it down, made it afraid. Now it was time for the killing blow. On day 11, Supreme Admiral Vareth made his final decision. His fleet had been damaged. His supplies were running low. His soldiers were afraid for the first time in their lives. But he still had over 2,000 warships. He still had the largest army the galaxy had ever seen. He would end this war today. All ships, advance on Earth, he ordered. Maximum speed. Ignore all other targets. We will destroy their home world and break their spirit forever. The Kalari Armada formed into a massive spearhead and began its final journey toward the blue planet that had caused so much trouble. They left behind the asteroids and moons where humans had ambushed them. They pushed past the remaining human fleet, taking damage but not stopping. Nothing would stop them now. Vareth watched Earth grow larger on his view screen. He could see the blue oceans, the green lands, the white clouds. Such a beautiful world. Such a waste that it had to be destroyed. Scan the planet, he ordered. I want to know exactly where their population centers are. His officers worked quickly. But as the data came in, confusion spread across their faces. Supreme Admiral, the planet appears to be empty. Empty? That is impossible. The cities are there, sir. The buildings, the roads, the infrastructure. But there are no life signs, no heat signatures, no electromagnetic signals. It is as if everyone just left. Vareth felt a cold chill run through his body. Something was wrong. Something was very wrong. Where did they go? On Mars, Admiral Yuna watched the Kalari fleet approach Earth. Everything was going according to plan. They took the bait, Taeyang said. His voice was tight with tension. They are entering Earth's orbit now. Good. Yuna turned to her communications officer. Signal all hidden vessels. Prepare for final assault. The evacuation of Earth had taken 3 weeks. 8 billion people moved to underground bunkers on Mars, Europa, Titan, and the asteroid colonies. It was the largest movement of humans in history, and it had all been done in secret, using tunnels and hidden transport ships that the Kalari never knew existed. The planet they were approaching was not a home anymore. It was a trap. Vareth ordered his fleet into orbit around Earth. He wanted to understand what the humans were planning before he attacked. His scouts descended toward the surface, scanning the empty cities. What they found made no sense. Every city had been rigged with explosives. Not just small bombs, but antimatter charges that could destroy entire regions. The oceans were filled with nanomachines that would attack any organic matter they touched. Every satellite in orbit had been converted into a weapon. They turned their own planet into a bomb. One of his officers whispered, "They would rather destroy everything than let us have it." Vareth finally understood. He had been fighting the wrong war all along. The humans had never intended to defend their planet. They had been leading him into a trap from the very beginning. "All ships, pull back," he shouted. "Get away from the planet." Too late. The trap closed from every direction. Hidden in the asteroid belt, Commander Yunji gave the order. The railguns that had survived the earlier battles powered up for one final shot. Thousands of rounds fired at once, creating a wall of metal that cut off the Kalari's retreat. From the dark side of the moon, Captain G1 led the Wolf Pack in a desperate charge. They had been waiting there for 2 days, engines silent, watching. Now they attacked the rear of the Kalari formation, tearing into the supply ships that kept the fleet alive. And from within the hollowed core of Titan, the largest moon of Saturn, something ancient and terrible began to wake. The Araram was the size of a small moon. It had taken 20 years to build in complete secrecy, carved out of Titan's frozen core and hidden from every sensor in the galaxy. It was not just a ship. It was humanity's answer to extinction. Admiral Yuna stood on its bridge, looking out at the stars through windows a kilometer wide. "All systems operational," Taeyang reported. "Main weapon fully charged. Target Varath's flagship. Let them see what we have built." The Araran moved out of its hiding place. It was slow, but its size made speed unnecessary. As it emerged into open space, every sensor in the solar system detected it. Vareth watched the massive vessel appear on his screens. His 4 eyes went wide with disbelief. "That is impossible. How did we not see it? How could they build something so large without us knowing?" His tactical officer had no answer. The data was clear. The human dreadnought was larger than any vessel the Kalari had ever built. Its weapons were beyond anything they had imagined. The Ararang's main cannon began to glow. Energy gathered from reactors that burned as hot as stars. Light filled the weapon systems, growing brighter and brighter until it hurt to look at. Vareth understood that he was going to die. He understood that his fleet was going to be destroyed. But he still did not understand how this had happened. How had prey become predator? How had insects become monsters? He sent one final transmission. "What are you?" Admiral Yuna answered for all of humanity. "We are what hunts back." The Ararang fired. The beam of energy was brighter than the sun. It crossed the distance between Titan and Earth in seconds. It struck the Kalari flagship, the Conqueror, and the shields that had protected it for 1,000 years vanished like morning fog. The Conqueror, a vessel 5 kilometers long, was cut in half. Then the halves were cut in half. Then those pieces were cut into smaller pieces. In 10 seconds, the most powerful warship the Kalari had ever built was nothing but glowing dust. Supreme, Admiral Vareth died without ever understanding his enemy. The battle after that was not really a battle. It was a slaughter. The remaining Kalari ships tried to fight. They tried to run. They tried to surrender. But humanity was not in the mood for mercy. For 11 days, they had watched their friends and families die. For 11 days, they had fought against impossible odds. Now they had the advantage, and they used it without hesitation. Commander Yunji coordinated the assault from Ceres. Captain Jiwan led her wolves through the broken enemy formation. Dr. Minji's frequency cycling weapons tore through shields that had been invincible for centuries. Colonel Dongwook's Marines boarded enemy vessels and fought corridor to corridor, room to room. By the time the sun set on the dark side of Earth, the Kalari Armada was gone. Over 2,000 ships destroyed or captured. The greatest military force the galaxy had ever known. Broken by a species they had considered prey. 3 months later, Ambassador Jie stood before the Galactic Conclave. The chamber was enormous, designed to hold representatives from 1,000 species. Today, it was packed. Every member of the conclave had come to hear what the humans had to say. Jie was young for an ambassador, only 35 years old. But she had been chosen for this moment because she could speak with the fire that humans felt in their hearts. She placed a data crystal on the central podium. Images appeared in the air around her. Images of the battle. Images of Kalari ships burning. Images of Supreme Admiral Varath's final moments. "You gave us a warning," Jihei said. Her voice echoed through the vast chamber. The Kalari called it a mercy, a gift. They told us to surrender our colonies and accept our place as a conquered species. She let the silence stretch for a long moment. We refused. The images changed. Now they showed the Arrowing emerging from Titan. They showed human soldiers fighting on Europa. They showed the wolf pack hunting in the darkness between planets. The Kalari believed we were prey because we were young, because we were small, because we had not spread across 1,000 worlds. They did not understand what humans are. Jia stepped forward, her eyes moving across the assembled species. Some of them looked afraid. Some looked curious. Some looked hungry. We are not prey. We have never been prey. On our home world, we hunted creatures 10 times our size with wooden spears. We tamed fire. We split the atom. We reached for the stars not because it was safe, but because it was there. She picked up the data crystal and held it high. This contains our message to the conclave. We are humanity. We are coming. The question you must ask yourselves is simple. Do you want us as friends, or do you want to learn, as the Kalari did, that we were never prey? The chamber was silent. 1,000 species stared at the young human woman who had just threatened them all. Then, slowly, the representative of the Tarani stood. The Tarani were an old species, one of the founders of the conclave. Their word carried weight. "We choose friendship," the representative said. "We welcome humanity to the Galactic Conclave." One by one, the other species followed. Some took longer than others. Some needed to be reminded of what had happened to the Kalari. But in the end, they all agreed. Humanity had earned its place among the stars. Not through diplomacy or trade or cultural exchange. Through something older. Something deeper. Something that every species in the galaxy understood, even if they pretended otherwise. Fear and respect. 1 year after the war ended, Admiral Yuna stood on the observation deck of Earth's Central Command. The sky was clear and blue. Children played in the parks below. Life had returned to normal, or as normal as it could be after everything that had happened. Taeyang walked up beside her. His hair was grayer now, and there were new lines on his face. The war had aged them both. "The last of the Kalari survivors have been returned to their space," he said. "The terms of the peace treaty have been accepted." Yuna nodded. "And the other species?" "They are cautious, but respectful.